Namaste Sannyasa family and everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you in this daily live meditation session with me, Dhyanse. We're meditating on 112 meditation techniques of Vigyan, Bhairav, Tantra. The truth that you're seeking, this truth that you're looking for, it belongs to the mystical. It belongs to the dimension of the mystical, but we want to bring this truth down from the mystical to something that is physical, to something that is demystified. We want to demystify spirituality. We want to demystify meditation. We want to demystify ourselves. We cannot do that. This spirituality, this truth, this meditation, it belongs to the dimension of the mystical. You have to learn how to approach this dimension of the mystical. But the moment we think of the mystical, the moment we think of the unknown, immediately fear arises, and we rather prefer something that is there in the so-called clarity. This clarity that arises with the lenses that we wear, with the lenses of the perception that we carry in our life. We carry these lenses, 4 different types of lenses, which create our perception of reality, and we try to bring this truth, this spirituality, this silence of meditation into these 4 different lenses and try to interpret everything into these 4 different lenses. What are these 4 different lenses? The first lens is of the physical. This is the lens which every scientist, every materialist uses to explain the reality. It wants to put everything that is there in the existence into the physical. All the explanation of how this world is, what this existence is, who we really are, what is consciousness, everything boiled down to the physical. This is used by the scientist. This is the path of the scientist who wants to put everything in the physical. Even the mind is out of something physical called as the brain. Even the consciousness is also interpreted as a produce of the brain and not as something that is non-physical. So the scientist, the materialist, lives in this lens, in this dimension of the physical. It wants to demystify life. It wants to demystify existence, demystify consciousness into this physical, the impossibility, which can never happen. Then there is this second lens, which we also take, the lens of the mental, the philosopher, the one who is thinking, the one who is philosophizing, who is creating ideas out of the mind, theories out of the mind, concepts out of the mind of this world, of this life, of consciousness, of existence, and tries to once again demystify this existence, this life, this consciousness, bring this into some kind of philosophy. The philosopher is trying hard, the thinker, the scholar is trying hard to somehow capture life, somehow capture consciousness, spirituality, meditation into some sort of philosophy, into some sort of demystified version, and calls it the so-called clarity, the clarity of the philosopher. Then, if that is not enough, you take the third lens, the lens of the artist, the lens of the lover, the one who is seeing something that is not of the physical, that is something not of the mental, but something that belongs to the heart. The artist, the dancer, the musician, the artist, it feels this existence. It knows that it is not just physical. It is not just an idea of the mind. It is not just a projection of the mind. There is something more existential that is flowing underneath. And the artist feels that with the heart. The artist expresses that with the heart. The artist sees that with the heart, with the lens, with the perception of this heart, with this flow of existence explained, demystified, lived into this expression of the artist. If you see all the greatest paintings, the music, anything that is created out of art, it is an attempt to demystify the mystical, to demystify the spiritual, to demystify whatever is existential, trying to bring that into some sort of form. And then the fourth lens, the lens which neither the scientist takes, nor the philosopher takes, nor the artist takes, the lens of the religious, of the spiritual. It tries to explain everything in soul. It tries to explain everything in God. It tries to explain everything in something far more deeper than the physical, than the mental, than the heart, but something still as a system, as a belief, as something that exists in a demystified form. What is God, if not is the demystified version of this existence? But none of these lenses, none of these attempts can ever capture what is the truth, what is this existence, what is this consciousness. For you to come to that, you have to move to the dimension of the mystical. You have to drop all these lenses that create the perception, that keep you busy in the so-called clarity of these perceptions, and once again move from this attempt to demystify, to live the mystical, to be in the mystical, to once again experience the unknown, to have the courage to be in that unknown. Meditation, true spirituality, belongs to this fifth dimension, the dimension of the mystical, which has no lens to it. It has apparently no clarity to it. It may look like you are moving into the unknown. You're moving blindly into the unknown, but you have to wait. You have to live this mystical for all these lenses to break, all the eyes that you're seeing through to close down, and the eye, the third eye of the mystical, open up, with which you can live this dimension of the mystical, with which you can live the truth, with which you can live this consciousness that we all are. So unless you stop this attempt of demystifying and move into the dimension of mystical with courage, with your totality, you will never be able to capture the truth. You'll never be able to experience the truth, the consciousness, and the true nature of your reality. Let us listen to what Bhairava has to say in Vigyan, Bhairav Tantra, in that context, to give you that dimension of mystical back in your life, so that you can enter the truth, so that you can enter the silence, you can enter consciousness. Bhairava says, contemplate on the sky as the form of Bhairava all absorbed in the forehead. Then that space will be filled by the essence of light. Let me repeat. Contemplate on the sky as the form of Bhairava, all absorbed in the forehead. Then that space will be filled by the essence of light. Beautiful meditation. Let us understand different facets, different components of this meditation, how to do this meditation before we sit in silence and practice. Contemplate on the sky as the form of Bhairava. Here, Bhairava is referring to the form of Bhairava. That form is Akasha. The Akasha, the ether, the space. For simplicity's sake, we can call it space. But it is something more than space. But for now, let's call it space. This fifth element out of the 5 elements that we have, here Bhairava is pointing that this dimension, this mystical dimension, is opened by this element Akasha. Unless there is Akasha in your life, there is no meditation possible. There is no mystical dimension opens up in your life. Unless this element of Akasha is there, you're caught up in the physical, you're caught up in the anxiety, you're caught up in the stress, you're caught up in the fear, you're caught up in everything that is an enclosure. Only Akasha, only this space, only this dimension which is mystical, it frees you of all the enclosure. So this element Akasha is very essential for your spirituality, for your practice of meditation. And to bring this dimension of Akasha is a process in itself, where if this dimension is there, you suddenly start to relate to, resonate to the non-physical. You move away from the physical to the non-physical. Otherwise, all this remains just a talk. All this never resonates in you unless there is Akasha in you. When this element Akasha, it opens up the mystical dimension in your life, whatever is the space in this meditation, the vibration of Tantra, the wisdom that is there in this space, it starts to resonate in you. It starts to become your own wisdom. See that these 5 elements have a certain role to play in your life. The first element, earth, this element keeps you busy with the physical. It keeps you busy with the material, the pains and the pleasures and all the experiences, the beautiful and the ugly of the physical. This is a play of the element earth. Then the second element, the element of air. This keeps you in the mind. It gives you ideas. It creates new waves in your mind of ideas, of concepts, something that is not the physical, but you can still grasp. You can still create. This is the element of air. As you step down from that is the element of water. As you become the artist, you flow along with this existence. You tune into the artist in you, the musician in you, the painter in you. You're flowing with this existence, and this is directly related to the element water in you. Then if the element fire is prevalent in you, it reminds you of something that is the source of all your energy. You start calling that source as your soul. You start calling that source as God. You start becoming religious. You start to hold on to this existence into some concept, into some sort of belief system. All this is triggered by the element fire. And the last, Akasha, the 5th element. This is the element which takes you from the physical, from the mental, from the heart, from the religious to the dimension of the mystical, towards something that is non-physical, towards something that takes you into truth, into consciousness. So to develop this Akasha, here Bhairava gives this meditation technique. He says, contemplate on the sky as the form of Bhairava, all absorbed in the forehead. So how to do this technique? You will visualize that this space, this vast space, you may imagine the sky or simply this vast empty space. This all is absorbed in your forehead. This forehead has its own significance as well. In the yogic philosophy, this forehead gives you a center called a third eye center when your physical eyes are closed, meaning when you are ready to move from the physical to the non-physical, your third eye opens up. This dimension, the mystical dimension, which gives you all the spiritual experiences, which takes you into the truth, into the silence, into the nothingness, this dimension is open along with the third eye center. So here Bhairava is saying, you visualize sky, Akasha, all absorbed in your forehead. So all you will do is, you'll sit in silence and you'll visualize, you'll imagine as if this whole vast sky, this Akasha, this space, it is being absorbed in your forehead. And you will feel this Akasha, this sky in your forehead. This requires a bit of an imagination to come out of the solidity of the logic to appreciate this meditation, to be in this meditation. And then Bhairava says, then that space will be filled by the essence of light. In this visualization, many things will rise in your consciousness. As this door of the mystical dimension of the mystical opens up, you will start to experience many things, light, colors, whatever, images, all may appear in this visualization as you bring this space into your forehead and let that be absorbed at your third eye center. If those visualizations occur, if they happen, take them not so seriously. Let them come, let them rise, let them disappear. If they do not arise, also fine. All you have to do is remember, visualize, imagine this vast empty space being absorbed at your forehead. And from there on, you enter into the dimension of the mystical, into the dimension of silence and awareness. Let us close our eyes and practice this meditation. Please take a posture that is comfortable for you. With your eyes closed, your body relaxed, shoulders down, head, neck and back aligned. Your breath flowing naturally. And with every breath, your body finding rest, your mind calming down, and your awareness turn inwards. As your awareness settles, shift this awareness to the area at your forehead. Begin by bringing awareness to the entire forehead. Noticing the sensations, the physical sense of your forehead. And visualize as if space is absorbed at your forehead. The entire space, the vast empty space, is being absorbed at your forehead. Visualizing the space, the emptiness at your forehead. As this visualization becomes stronger, focus more and more at your third eye center. From the entire forehead to the region in between your eyebrows. becoming aware of the space, of the infinite, vast space at your third eye center. Focusing at your third eye center, at the vast space, Akasha, at your third eye center. Images, colors, light, whatever arises, let that drop and you remain at your third eye center, at this space, at your third eye center. And let go of all effort. Let go of the focus. Remain in silence, in awareness, in the space that opens up. Remain in this mystical without trying to change anything, without trying to do anything, simply remaining silent, aware in this mystical. While remaining aware of this inner space of silence, awareness, and the mystical, very gently and slowly, you may open your eyes. Maintaining the centeredness, the wholeness, your silence and inner awareness. If you wish to live this dimension of mystical deeply as in its totality in your life, this dimension of truth, of spirituality, of silence, you're more than welcome to walk along this path with me and other meditators in our community. You're more than welcome to join our community of meditators. If this resonates to you, please write me an email with your introduction, with your calling for the community, and what can you give back to the community. Thank you very much. Namaste.